All to Iqra University Entrepreneurial Seminar, the third edition. I need to we firstly start up with the name of Almighty Allah, and for that I would request Mr. Mas to please come on the stage and recite a few verses of Holy Quran. Please, Mas.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. Now I'd like to request you all to please stand up in the respect of the national anthem. Management Sciences on the behalf of the Iqra University to present the welcome note.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable guests, dear students and faculty members, good afternoon. On behalf of Iqra University, I would like to welcome you all to the third Iqra University Entrepreneurship Seminar. I would like to give a special thanks to Mr. Mitch, Carson for giving us his precious time today. He is experienced speaker and seminar promoter who has been on the platform throughout the USA, Canada, Australia, UAE and New Zealand. He used to read more than 100 books per year over the last several years. He has featured in 200 plus newspapers worldwide and hosted a radio show on CBS radio in Los Angeles for over 1 year. He is also an author of The Silent Salesman, which is published by John Willen and Sons. The main objective of this seminar is to enlighten the entrepreneurship. As most people would agree, entrepreneurship has an important role to play in the development of a country. It does allow the economy to grow because it gives people more jobs, creates new inventions and ideas, and better standard of living. I hope the ideas shared in this seminar will increase your knowledge regarding entrepreneurship and bring a positive change in your life. By conducting a series of entrepreneurship seminars, I have strong confidence that we are on the right track of securing a brighter future for our students. I also appreciate the effort of whole team who has arranged this seminar. Once again, I would like to welcome you all and wish you every success in your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your encouraging words. And getting to it, I would just give you a brief review of what Iqra University Entrepreneurial Seminar is. IUPS was started back in February 2012. I still remember it was 1st February when we started with this program. It's a set of international seminars coming one by one on entrepreneurship. It's basically motivating students and enlightening them to the emerging changes in today's economy and the significance of entrepreneurship as well. Back in in January, I would say, it was a time when Ma'am Mujita Malik and Sir Yasir used to promote us to host such kind of a thing. They came up with an idea and then we took it forward. One was done, the other one was hosted again in March 2012. And at that one time we had a guest, Miss Jolene New York, who actually guided students on emerging changes in fashion, merchandising and entrepreneurship. He was a famous fashion entrepreneur. And today we all are here standing in Iqra University Entrepreneurial Seminar, the 3rd edition. It's definitely the hard work of all the students who've been continuously working for this. To name a few, I would say they were students like Mr. Hassan Imani, Mr. Danish Shafiq, Mr. Sohail Iqbal, who continuously worked hard to make sure this place was secure for us to come and conquer. So a huge round of applause for all of them, for all of them. And that was almost criminal of me to forget Mr. Rahan Sikul. A huge round of applause. I didn't do it, so getting it forward, Iqra University Entrepreneurial Seminar, the 3rd page, we have Mr. Mitch Carson with us. Well, sir already has said everything about him. I would just like to add a bit more that he's someone we all look forward to be like. He is an outstanding trainer who's been trained in numerous organizations, hundreds of millions of students and entrepreneurs and populations. So I would say he is someone who's done everything in his life. As I call it, sorry.
I'd like to request Dr. Azam to welcome Mr. Carson on stage.
I would like to request Mr. Mitch to come.
How many people believe this right here? Everyone in America is rich, Christian, lives on the beach, spits tobacco, plays football, eats hamburgers or cheeseburgers, which adds more to the waistline, and owns a Mercedes. Who believes that? Anybody? Who's been to America? Anybody been to America? We got one lady in the front, she's got blonde hair. Kind of irregular, but you don't stand out. One other man, and yes, we spoke earlier, the esteemed gentleman right here. He's got a perfectly tied tie. We're going to talk about that. Is it okay if I don't stand behind a podium and drone on? Is that all right? Can I stand up here? I don't like. Do I need this? Can you not hear me? Do I need this as well? Yes. Oh my word, I'll do both. I'm a rock star. Can hold it up, no problem. First time in Pakistan, and I've got to tell you, if it wasn't for my good friend, and I use that word very seldomly, Mr. Rehan Al-Walla, right here. Turn around and say hello to him. Come on, stand up. I'm going to give you a little bit of credit here. This is the man. Thank you, Rehan. And I'm going to say this. Is there any way to turn this up so I don't have to pretend with this? You can turn the volume up so I can just use this. Are we okay? Or am I going to have to do this the whole time? I can pretend to be Elvis Presley, but you don't want to see me dance. It's pretty sad. Might be illegal in these parts anyway. But I want to start off with thanking this man because we had the almost a little over a week together in United Arab Emirates, speaking at a conference in the Knowledge Village, I believe it was, inside Dubai. And then we quickly jumped on a plane, went over to Bahrain, and spoke at an event there inside a movie theater. That was an interesting experience. Never done that before. And then came back, and one breakfast changed my perception of the Islamic world forever. Forever. And this part I probably don't want recorded because when I return to America next week, I don't want to be hijacked at the airport. You're laughing, but it's not funny. There's a big police state going on, different than when you were there, sir, I guarantee you. And when Rehan mentioned that he was from Pakistan, immediately, and I have to share this, is it okay if I be perfectly transparent and honest today? My reaction was this, and it was because of the media. Okay? I worked in media for years in America. I'm going to get into that in a little bit. So I know what it can do, but I'm also human. I bleed red. And with that, I'm capable of being influenced because of the power of repetition. And my beliefs were forged by the media. And then we would see things come out, and then I sat with Rehan for a short bit, and because of his way to communicate and his way of teaching people, and he taught me, and I've got a few years on him, just look at his hairline, look at mine, and you're going to notice that this man, and I'm giving you a lot of credit here, he was able to dispel just over a breakfast when we were sitting in Bahrain. This isn't the Islamic world that the American press conveys. And in that one breakfast, which lasted about an hour and a half, it completely shifted my perspective. And then allowed me to come over here and share with you. Because I was scared. Can I admit it? I mean, we see stuff on TV that scares the dickens out of us. And women do this thing down in America, and I mean, it scares the heck out of us. So all that being set aside, and with Rehan's encouragement, I'm here, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm not afraid, because I've got bodyguards. So let's jump right in. And first thing I want to say is, this is a myth. Nobody's hands went up, so this is a sharp crowd here. Everybody knows that it's not true. Why? Because that is my story. This is my story. My father died. My mother was terminally ill with cancer 5 weeks before she died, I found him in bed with a phone in his hand. These were the old rotary phones back then. And I get an idea how old I am. It was stuck in his hand. I walked in on that. My life changed. Then, 5 weeks later, my mother passed. Then I realized, oh my gosh, he had what was called a gambling problem. Anybody know anybody with a gambling problem or any family member? Maybe it doesn't happen here. But it's a big problem, epidemic in America. And my brother, who was 6 years older, barely made ends meet. And all of a sudden, we had people calling us to pay off my father's gambling debts. So, and I didn't have a Mercedes, and I didn't live on the beach. So I certainly ate hamburgers, it's cultural. But I didn't have, all of a sudden, there's something that is burning, and that's called hunger. So you go into, what happened? I go into what's called survival mode. Has anybody ever been in survival mode? You don't operate necessarily with the highest efficiency or clarity. But there's something here, you guys are an educated crowd. Has anybody seen this pyramid? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Very basic. I had to make money because I wanted to eat. I wanted to eat. I had loaned my father money because we had to pay medical bills for my mother, and he said, I'm going to get it back to you. I had no idea of the situation he was in. But I was 2 weeks behind on my rent in my apartment at the time. And it was an ugly situation. I mean, all the details aren't that important. Just trust me, it wasn't pretty. Okay? I didn't feel like eating any hamburgers, and Mercedes was the farthest thing from my mind at that moment. It was survival. Level 1. Food, water, shelter, warmth. I already lived in California, not a problem. But the idea of friends, family, spouse, lover, wasn't in my consciousness at that point. It was about eating. Anybody relate to that? No, I mean, this is not a pretty picture. So what did I do? I had a frustration. This is also where I would suggest maybe you want to take some notes, because I'm going to go through 5 principles that I have found that are important to me in business that has, let's say, caused a 180-degree turnaround in where I was at age 22, which wasn't good. I had to get to work and had to get to work fast. So I cut my sleeping down from 6 hours a day down to 3 and operated at efficiency and pushed hard. So one of the first things that I always try to identify with clients, I got into sales. If any of you notice, I'm not exactly a shy person. I was at one time, I overcame it. Why? Because speaking, standing on a stage, opens up doors. People are fearful of speaking. It is man's and women's #1 fear. More than burning in a building, it is standing on stage. So, I was a communication major in college at the time, had to drop out. I later was able to return and finish, but I had to drop out because I had no money. Money is necessary. It's fuel for just about everything, starting with food and shelter. So I immediately started selling shirts with Greek imprints. In America, we have what is called the fraternity and sorority system. Anybody heard about that, seen it in the movies? Anyone? Nobody? A couple hands? One man in the back is brave enough to raise his hand. I got a prize for you at the end. No, I'm just kidding. So I started selling fraternity house to fraternity house, sorority house to sorority house, standing belly to belly, selling, saying, this is the shirt I've got. How many? Can we see peppers on the street? These guys, these gals that are sewing on the street are good because you get programmed about what it takes to get past somebody. So if you're finding, they didn't know where to get shirts, for example, for their parties. So I overcame this by finding out their top frustration, and that was finding a reliable vendor. Showing up, doing as you say, saying as you do, saying as you do, doing as you say. Whichever way you want to flip it, it makes sense, correct? Who makes the buying decisions? In a small organization, large organization, it makes no difference. When it related to the fraternities and sororities I was pitching myself to, they had to go to committee, or it had to be the social chairperson. This was my first entrepreneurial launch at 22 with no money. And I had borrowed the shirts from the screen printer so I could go and sell these. It was just an idea that came to me, and I saw this when I was on campus. And I was selling to the students that I used to attend with, but I wasn't in school because I couldn't afford to pay the tuition at that point. So who made the buying decisions? I found that it was the social chairperson. And it was a very snobby school called the University of Southern California. And it was a very expensive school. So I had to kiss up to this individual in order to get his and her sales, or her buy-in, or his buy-in to buy the product. I also had to speak their language. These are sound principles when connecting with people in sales and or marketing. Finding their top frustration. How do they make their buying decisions? What language do they speak? If I am speaking to a fellow student, do I speak like I just got my PhD and sat and submitted my dissertation, and I am very clear and severe, and I'm going to stand right here and talk the whole time? Has anybody had a professor like this? Don't worry, they're all up front. That's the whole time talks like this and has never changed their voice. I have a lot of those. Versus engaging and speaking a language that people understand. When speaking to a dentist, if you throw in a couple of jargon words, they're going to appreciate that, right? If you talk about bad breath and say halitosis, which is a technical term for stinky breath, like, buddy, go take a mint, shove it in your mouth and swirl it, they'll talk to you. But if you use halitosis, you're going to sound like you're resonating with the crowd. Yes or yes? Okay, or is it absolutely? Yes or absolutely? You have two choices. And you need to do your competitive intelligence when you're out there in the marketplace. And these are some of the principles I found, and they're timeless. Doesn't matter if it's on the internet. We're going to get into some internet. Who wants to learn about how to make lots of money on the internet? Anybody? Just a few hands, or are we still in the shy face here? Overcome it. Okay? I'm not shy, you're not going to be today. We're going to blend together. Finally, a last hand came out, the man's got his other finger in his mouth. Take it out. Not sanitary, it's halitosis. Do your competitive intelligence. Find out who your competition is, what they're doing, how you can improve it. Has anybody been in business in the room? Anybody have small business, large business, multinational corporation? This man, multinational. All right. I knew it. I knew it. Where do you sell? Everywhere? Islamabad? T-shirts? Oh, talk to me later. Okay. That's good. You know, I still have a couple online T-shirt sites because I know the business and it works. It's like clockwork. It makes money while I sleep. I love making money while I sleep. Anybody like that idea? Where you are sleeping and PayPal just gets pinged. Bang! I just made another $10. I love it. I wake up every day with a smile. Every day I'm smiling because PayPal makes me happy. You have PayPal here? Oh shoot, I missed the whole punchline. Okay, it's an online. Anybody know what PayPal is? Oh, okay. Right? So what's the equivalent of PayPal here? Nothing? Okay. It's an online payment system that accepts money when people want to buy stuff from you. Let me just say, it's really good. Okay? I love PayPal. Love PayPal. Someday we got to get it here. You have it in India, right? I think it's in India. Why don't they have it here? Okay. Well, that's another topic another day. Is that the next speaker? Is it to discuss PayPal? Maybe?
Yeah, not for me, but for maybe for Afghanistan or Pakistan, ban this law.
Okay, then we've got it. I got an innovative idea. and somebody can beat me to the punch with this because I think it'll work. Let's start up PackyPal. .com. .pk. I bet it would work. Who's already on GoDaddy? Tell me. Somebody's there. All right, so do your competitive intelligence. Conduct that. What did your competition do to succeed or fail? See, every time there's a block out in the marketplace, I see opportunity. This is something that is 100% true. When Rehan invited me and said, no Westerner will come to Pakistan, they're all afraid. You know, there were 10 speakers there. I was the only one that took the opportunity. I said, well, okay, there's an opportunity here. If you run into a brick wall, figure out, instead of coming back with a jackhammer and start slapping at it, walk around it. That's an easier way to do it. So if nobody's over here speaking, it's an opportunity. You know how hard it is to get speaking jobs? I mean, this isn't a paid gig. It's more of a curiosity gig. I was in United Arab Emirates before this, so it was a 2-hour flight, came in last night, got treated like gold, and I haven't been under any threat at all. Nothing. It's all BS. The press, blah, 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 blah. So, if you've got a problem with the payment processing here in Pakistan, who wants to be an entrepreneur in the building? Who wants to make his or her own money someday? And when you wake up with a smile because you've got money in your PackyPal account. I think that's a great name. Steal it. Go ahead. My advice today is free. When I step off the stage, my PayPal starts ringing. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that's a real opportunity. If you start your own online system, I think there are about 180 million people in this country. Hello? Hello? Big opportunity. Also, mindset. Who knows this call letter right here for a radio show? I was on radio for a bit and learned quite a bit. WIIFM. I strongly suggest everyone in the room write these letters down. Students, obey. I'm older than you. What does it mean? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? It's an acronym. It's the most valuable acronym, one of the most valuable acronyms I live by in marketing and in business. Because who's more interesting than me? No one. No one is more interesting than me. To me. To me. When you look, here, I'll prove it to you. When you are in a group photo, taken and it's pasted, and you get tagged on Facebook. Everybody on Facebook? 1,000%. Okay. You get tagged, and there are 20 people in the photo. Who do you look at first? Human nature. Oh my head, did I smile right? Did I look good? Did you think she's looking at me in the picture? It's proof. What's in it for me? Now, this is mindset I'm talking about, but I just gave you a perfect example with something that we all use on Facebook. You're going to look at yourself in a group photo. Then you may look at somebody you're interested in. Your friends, your family might be in that photo, who knows? But what's in it for me? So, why is this important? When you design any kind of business, any kind of marketing, think of the customer/client first. Think of the client first. Client, let's just say, is at a level above customer. Customer, I would liken to somebody that buys from you, that's maybe transitory, that walks through and buys a gum and may or may not ever come again. A client is someone that you have earned and can establish some type of rapport, some relationship with. Do you understand the difference? So if you're going to be working with clients and customers, this principle applies to both. Think with your head, what's in it for them, such that me, being most interested in me, can benefit. If you first step out of who you are and think of your client, what's in it for them. What do they want out of this? Who thinks this sells better? If you're out there selling, you're on TV, you're on radio, and you think he needs, she needs this. He needs this. I'm going to forcefully sell this on you. Sell it to you. You need this. Some people will buy it because they want you to go away. It's sort of the tactic of, let's say, some of the panhandlers maybe. You know, you get to get them away, you have to just give, okay, go away, fine. But they're not going to be a relationship client. Versus giving people what they want. We all don't, okay, who owns a car in the room? Okay, a few people own cars. Do you want a Toyota or a Rolls Royce? Okay, that's what you want. Do you need that in Karachi or Islamabad or Switzerland? No, you don't need anything but with four wheels that'll take you from point A to point B. But we all want the Mercedes, we want the Rolls Royce, we want the Armani suit, the fancy purse, the Chanel cologne, or whatever it is that men and women want, these branded items, but are they necessary? No. No, but we want them. So wants will always outsell needs because people buy an emotion. People buy on emotion. Think about that. That is what persuades people emotionally. So this is part of the puzzle that I have lived by, and I've created the system, and I believe in strong systems. In any business that I have started or I have shut down, it's because the system was working well or it wasn't working well, and I had to separate my emotion from the equation, and I've had some business failures. I have failed in business many times. I admit it, I'm transparent. Is that okay? I have never met a person who hasn't had a failure or two that has been extremely successful. Maybe Bill Gates, he started with one big one and he took it all the way to the bank. But in most cases, people have had failures. So you fail your way to success. You take risks. But the first thing you have to look at, part of the puzzle, is how to attract the right clients. Then you convert them to a client. And then you leverage them via referrals or relationship building such that you retain them. These are the four pieces of the puzzle. 4 pieces of the puzzle. This is how I have found it to work. Very simple. Is this real academic or pretty simple, but easy to digest? Yes or yes? Yes or yes? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Why did I get on the radio and use media? Because if I am in the press, something I observed, automatically you become the center of influence, the voice of reason. Whether I know more or not doesn't matter. People want to identify with someone that is standing on a stage, has stepped out of their comfort zone, has a radio show, speaks, does something, writes articles, takes a risk, steps out of their comfort zone. Would it be extremely easy for all of you to have just finished as a grade A or high school, what we call it in our, I don't know the school system here. This is a university. You have all taken the risk to further yourselves and to grow and improve because you took that step. So you're all winners in my eyes. You're all winners because you took that step and you are doing something to separate yourself from those that choose not to go on or can't go on, whatever the reasons are. And you also become the center of knowledge. So that's why I took some of the steps I did. When you expose yourself through some of these media channels that we're going to discuss, you can identify the market. We are so good at marketing today, segmenting who we want to go after. based on the data that are available to us, we can get very segmented, very specific who it is we want to go after. If you want to seek out left-handed golfers who are blonde-haired with purple eyes, you can find them today with the kind of data. Sound like an attractive female? Left-handed golfer with purple eyes? Okay. Guys, don't get excited. Learn how to design your message. And there are ways of creating profit generators when you use media correctly. I love this graphic, one of my favorites. I just experienced not the garbage, but the traffic jam like this coming here with that intersection. I don't think I've experienced anything like it. In the van that was over here, it was pretty funny, but somehow it worked. Through the chaos, we got here in one piece and it was just fine. You know that construction right around the road here? Yeah, it was pretty fun. I took pictures. And that was right after, this is the first time in my life I've seen it in movies, we were proceeding past, probably 20 or 30 cows. I've never seen that. I had a big smile rip across my face, and I got my Kodak Z18 out, and bang, bang, bang. Took some quick pictures. This is going up on Facebook tonight. Okay, first principle, and there are 5 that I'm going to go through today. Social proof. Okay, you saw me up here. I was talking. I had a very nice tee up, but had you not been given some information on me, and I was just standing here, just a guy, or a man, who's here in your city, you would have an opinion based on how I'm dressed, how I speak. Seeing this was 1996. Yes, I was younger and had a little more hair. Something happens with age. This was when I was a pitchman, where I would stand on camera, live television, in the United States, out of Florida, on Home Shopping Network. Anybody heard of that channel? Does it reach you at all? But it's in America, it's where it's live television, tuned in, and let me describe the demographic. Usually female, okay, and these are statistics, so it's sitting at home, eating popcorn, feet are up, and they're alternating between popcorn and bonbons, which are those chocolate-covered ice creams, out of a bucket, chomping away, picking up the phone, ordering stuff. Very important to see the feet up, okay. With their slippers on. And they're watching TV all day long because they're bored. But they tune in to their favorite person speaking. So this was my first time, this is my first success. Now this was after 3 fingers, 3 failures of products on Home Shopping Network. Went there, they bombed. Bombed! Wanted to poke my head under a rock and never come up. Lost lots of money. Then I struck rich. This one I sold $7 million of. It was a bug trapping device. Remember what I said earlier about emotion? People buy what they want, not what they need. They wanted this item because this little thing right here, ladies, do you use a body sponge? Anybody? Guys, if you tell me that, keep it to yourself. Okay? A body sponge, which comes out of a tube, and you put it on top of the spider, and you draw the inner tube up, and it sucks the spider up. Anybody like to feel a spider in their fingers? Ew! Emotion. Fear. Ew! Everybody says it. That's the same word you use, and it's Urdu. Ew! Okay. This got rid of that. It gave people what they wanted, and that was to not have to touch the grubby cockroach or spider. Guys, do you like spiders? Any macho guys here? Crossing their arms? Have you been asked by women to go get that spider, get that bug? Anybody here lift weights? Eat raw oatmeal? Okay. This kept you macho, and you didn't have to feel the ew factor. And it sold all over the world, and on television, I sold $7 million worth of this. Pretty good? Good number? I don't know what that translates to rupees, but it's a lot of rupees, right? Worked well. So this launched me very successfully. So principle number 1, go back to it, social proof. Create proof when you make claims. Get in the media. It is really easy if you follow this path. Oops, get in the media. This is the front page of my website. These are all the different news sources that I've been featured in. Does it show credibility? U.S. News and World Report, well-known publication in the U.S. The Sydney Morning Herald. I'm not going to tell you what I was in that for. Forbes, CBS, Wall Street Journal, and Entrepreneurial Magazine. Pretty credible. I feature that. Now it was pretty hard in my early upbringing in my culture to brag about myself. I had to overcome it. I had a coach, a man named Dan Kennedy, who was a well-known marketer in the U.S., written, I think, probably over 20 books. He was somebody I was in a mastermind with, and that's another principle. Always seek advice from others. Get over this pride thing, thinking you have all the information. Who loves masterminding and asking friends for advice? A few people are willing to raise their hands. What do you know? A few of you. Okay, mastermind. Well, oh, thank you. My man Rehan is here to rescue me from the RehanSchool.com. Little publicity push. Mastermind is where you are in a group with like-minded people. So let's call it a faculty meeting for the marketing department here at Iqra University, right? The management. You're going to talk about how to progress and find new guest speakers. You're going to mastermind. You're going to use your minds, meld them together, talk out loud in a brainstorming session, and come up with ideas, or you're going to critique different pieces. I asked this man right here, after I speak today, I would welcome and encourage any feedback. That would be my way of an unofficial mastermind. Because he's lived in America for quite a while. He knows the drill, if you will. And I want to always get feedback because I'm perfectly imperfect and I'm looking to improve every single day until I push up daisies. And I hope that's a long ways away. But we try to do that. So on this right here, I'm always after lead capture. Has anybody been on my site? As you heard I was speaking, maybe did a Google it. Has anybody subscribed to this? Okay, if you haven't, I would encourage you to watch my marketing process when you opt in, because you're not only going to get two ways to opt in. I didn't show the second one here, but here I'm asking for your first name and email address, because I'm going to then give you a free book written by a friend of mine. It's a way to help him, because I work on what is called the rule of reciprocity. You help me, I'll help you later. I give away his free, very well-written book on internet marketing. People get it. So go to my site, MitchCarson.com, and there's my name, so it's pretty easy. I come up in Google, get this, and there's another, after 30 seconds, don't leave the site, wait until 30 seconds. Look at your watch, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 30. Because then I'm going to have a pop-up. Then you're going to get another offering of an e-course on email marketing. Watch it for model. I'm not selling anything on there. I'm not here to sell you anything because this isn't a paid gig. Just look at the model of how I market. And it's just a good way to follow because this is how it works. This is when what happened was when I was on Home Shopping Network for a while, the executive producer came to me and said, Mitch, you know, you've had a nice run here, sold well, we've appreciated your work, but it's time. I said, time for what? You want to take me to dinner? He said, no, you've got a face for radio. It was time. Sometimes you have to sunset in your career. So at that point, I went into radio. I still had a little more hair here. This is about 4 years ago. And this is my first client that I then ended up teaching how to start his own radio show. This was the #1 business radio show in Los Angeles, the U.S.'s second market. Second largest market, New York being the biggest. Here was another person I taught how to create a radio show. This is a man, he was born in Pakistan. His name is Dave Lakhani. He's a very well-known marketer in the US. I'm going to try to bring him. I think he's the man I mentioned, that he would probably be receptive because he was born here, spent his summers here, and stands about 6'6". He's a monster of a man. Huge. And he also had a radio show in America, was a syndicated radio show host, and was a big fan of this. Other things you can do is if you do any kind of work like this, I used to teach clients how to use radio to raise their celebrity status, because if you look into any kind of media, do what you can if you want to get in and start your own business, to even if it's a podcast. Anybody podcast here? No? Okay. A few people. Yeah, that's just, want me to explain what podcasting is? A little bit? It's a radio show that is delivered when you want to listen to it, versus most radio, like I had my show on Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m. So 1 in the afternoon on Saturdays, for 1 hour, I had my show. Whereas if you start a podcast, you can do this whenever you choose to listen to it. And you have listeners on their schedule. It's a great invention, and I would encourage it because you can get quite a following. And you don't have to, you can also retake things. Like when I was on live TV, there was no second take. When I was on my radio show, there was no second take. There was a pause delay of a few seconds, but that isn't much. That's if one of the guests on my show cursed or something, because it was illegal. So that was all allowed, but not content recreation. So what is podcasting? Real-time delivery of your audio files to be played on a computer or MP3 player. Just wanted to give you that little. Why podcast? Because you can connect with your voice, no rules regarding content, narrowcast and delivery to a select group, and it creates loyalty. People, this is human nature, in my opinion. It may not be the same here, but I've seen it in a lot of countries, and I've been to 39 of them. Most people, not everyone, but most, are walking around with their umbilical cord out. Okay? Once they get unplugged from mama, they're looking for papa or mama somewhere else. Feed me information, give me sustenance, give me life. I need direction. I cannot function on my own. Help me. Help me. Umbilical cord is out. Okay? We have an expression in the U.S., but it's a little bit of a metaphor. There are Indians and there are chiefs. What do you think they're more of, chiefs or Indians? Come on, yell it out. Chiefs or Indians? Indians. Now, you got a big country right next to you, but I wasn't referring to those folks. But people want to be told what to do. They need direction. The umbilical cord is out. Feed me. Give me life. Help me. I need to have someone tell me what to do. Your podcast, you can create a following, a herd, if you will, of people that'll follow because they want someone to tell them what to do. Just keep it ethical and honest, but if it's advising them about relationships, it's advising them about politics, which is, that's a hotly contested topic. People love to talk about it. Whatever it is, it creates loyalty if you do this regularly, reliably, and you've got something to say. Heck, just go to Yahoo News or CNN and regurgitate. People want to listen to it. They'll want to plug in. Ha-ha. And it leads to a membership site. These are little revenue things you may want to think about. Anybody heard of membership sites? Okay, where you pay a fee in some cases, or the membership can be free, where you exchange ideas with a group of people. And at some point, you can monetize this, and that means make money. And again, a lot of people had smiles run across their face when I said make money when you sleep. And I'm making money when I sleep because I wake up with a smile. It's really good to make money. Write a book or get published. Anybody have a book in them? Have you got an interesting story? It's a young crowd. Who would like to write a book someday? Don't be shy. Stop it. We're already friends at this point. You, sir, with the beard. Oh, that's almost half the room. Okay, raise your hand. Come on. There you go. See? You know I'm looking at you. What's your book on? Marketing. Excellent. Okay, you got a marketing book in you. Are we talking about marketing most of the time here today? Pretty much. That's my love, my passion. That's what's made me money. This was my book that was published by John Wiley & Sons. There are two ways of getting published. One is going through a traditional publisher, like I did with this. This was book number 2. I self-published a small book to begin, and then I went the route of traditional publisher. The challenge with a traditional publisher, I'll share, is it takes up to took me 2 years. After, when I started the process, 2 years later my book hit the shelves. 2 years. If you self-publish, you can get it there in an instant. Amazon provides all sorts of very quick solutions. You can get published, get your information out there. Your marketing book, Man with a Beard, that stands alone, can be up in a week or less. How fast are you? What do you do the 100 in? Running. Okay. You can really get this up fast today. Technology is great. Write a book. Why am I showing this? What happened, because I opened up a book and, when I wrote my book, it opened up doors that were blocked, locked, impenetrable before. And this man, has anybody seen or heard of Bruce Lee? Okay, wow. His movies were where he died 40 years ago. He's still a legend and icon. Everybody like him? Oh! Okay. One of my favorites. The Man on the Right. Anybody remember this? This is a famous scene in Enter the Dragon, in my opinion. And I'm a martial artist myself for 42 years. Bob Wall is the man on the right. Chuck Norris's best friend and business partner. Anybody heard of Chuck Norris? Is he popular here too? Okay. Bob and Chuck are they're like this. The best of buddies still today. They call each other 2 to 3 times a day. They're in their 70s. They're like little boys. I wanted to get in to meet Bob Wall because one of the marketing systems that I wrote, created, and then sold from stages throughout America, Australia, New Zealand, Canada was called Black Belt Direct Marketing. And I knew that Bob Wall, who was the man on the right, lived in Los Angeles and was today, or back then when I approached him, a very successful businessman. And I thought I wanted his endorsement, his picture, and I worked, probably 2 weeks to finally get time with him, and went into his office. It was this monstrous office. So imagine that you're looking at this message. His office had ceilings this high, all wood paneled. He was on 24 covers of Black Belt magazine, many with Bruce Lee on the cover and with Chuck Norris. Big plaques, swords, weapons on the wall. This guy was macho. Would that give you that impression? This was a macho, tough, type A personality, alpha male. Walked into his office and said, "Sit down." Just like that without looking up. Sat down. And I said, "Mr. Wall, sir, I've been an admirer of all your movies and your martial arts success over the years. And I'd love to chat with you about my system. And I want to present you with a copy of my book. And I've signed it in advance to hand to you." All of a sudden, he looked up from his work. "You've written a book? I want to write a book." "How did you do that?" He put his work to the side. Right then, this is how big it was, Chuck Norris calls in, and it says, "Mr. Wall, Mr. Norris is on the phone. Tell him I'll get back to him." Put Chuck Norris on hold because he wanted to learn what it took to write a book. Instant rapport, credibility, right then and there.
And that's what happened.